Welcome to this week's Overland Q&A. We've got a couple of questions come in on email. Keep them coming. They're great questions. We're going to try and get through them as much as we possibly can. I've got a couple of questions that have come in through YouTube. So let's get through 3 or 4 of them today. Keep it short and sweet, but keep them coming. Send them to my email, sean@expeditionextreme.com. We love hearing from you. We love seeing the questions. We'll get back to you on all of those as soon as we can. Let's kick off with the first question. This is from Bargo. Bargo says, I have a Y62 Patrol. Do I need a long-range tank for Oman? Now, that's a great question. Oman is a vast, massive country with lots of different areas. Now, depending on where you're going to be going in Oman, you typically do not need fuel. I would say the rule of thumb is between 400 and 500 kilometer range, you'll be fine. If you're traveling through the Wahiba Sands and the Empty Quarter, your range will drop significantly. So bearing in mind, if you're going to be spending 2-3 days traveling through the Wahiba Sands, you might want to take an extra jerry can. However, spending the money for an additional long-range tank in Oman is, as far as I'm concerned, not necessary. Most places you can get out of the desert. I'll take the beach road, for example. Every 50 kilometers, there is a fuel station. Now, the government has put those fuel stations in there for the small fishermen's villages. So the fishermen need to fill up their boats, the motors on the boats, and they've provided a fuel station every 50 kilometers. However, what we found out on this recent trip where we spent 20 days through traveling the Oman coast, we started off the trip where we ended it with a cyclone last year, and we traveled through the evening on the beach road. After 12 o'clock at night, from Dukum all the way down to Ras Madraka, we could not find a fuel station that was open. So bear in mind, if you're traveling through the evening on the less traveled roads, the fuel stations will not be open. And therefore you need to obviously manage your expectations of how far you can travel at night. So spending the money on a long-range tank here in Oman, if you've got less than 500 kilometers, a Jeep Wrangler per se, yes. If you've got 500 kilometer range, an extra jerry can is just perfect. Hope that answers your question, Bargo. Thanks, great question. Next question. This is from HZK12. What drone do you use? Right, so we use the Mavic Pro. We find it small enough to be able to pack in. It's small enough to carry up the mountains when we go for a walk. Just the compactability of the drone is just so much easier utilizing it here in the Middle East. The footage we find on that is quite fantastic. The 4K footage is 4K footage. Obviously, the DJI-4s and the Inspires are far better drones as far as the windy conditions are concerned, but we haven't got into an area where the drone hasn't been able to cope with the windy conditions. So, I mean, obviously when it's gale force, you're not going to be flying a drone anyway because you're going to lose it, and they cost a lot of money. So for us, our purpose, Mavic Pro is the perfect fit. Next question. Will James. Now, I actually have 2 questions from Will here. When can I get the KM3s in Dubai? Now, the KM3 is the new mud terrain from BF Goodrich. I've spoken to our sponsors at BFG, and they're expecting the shipment to come through end of June, beginning of July. So as a commitment, let's look at probably the 3rd to 4th week of July where they'll be commercially available to everybody. We would probably be doing a launch with them to get it up and running. So keep watching the channel and come meet us at the launch as and when we decide to, or when it arrives, not we decide, as and when the stock arrives in Dubai, and we would probably do a big song and dance about that. All right, next question, again from Will James. Amazing trip. Now, this is a comment on our Salalah trip. I want to do this trip in July. Is this too early? Right, so Salala, we are now getting into the heat of Dubai, Middle East, wherever you are, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait. It is just getting too hot right now to get out anywhere. However, we've got the Khareef season that starts pretty much now in June. I think it started a bit early with the cyclone last week. It's still flooded down there. A lot of the roads are closed. So do a bit of research if you're going to go down right now. But typically, beginning or mid-June to mid-August is pretty much when it starts. The best time to be down there is your end of July time, and you're going to have phenomenal weather, down to 19 degrees, 17 degrees at some stages up in the mountain, and it'll drop down to perhaps we've had it at 5 degrees in the evening, but I would say around about 9 to 12 degrees in the evening. Now, everybody's going to be escaping the heat probably during the Eid vacation, with Ramadan coming to an end in about 10 days. So plan your trip wisely, especially with the cyclone that's just happened. The next bit of advice that I would give you is spend a couple of days in the misty conditions, in the mountains, and then plan your trip for your last couple of nights to be on the beach, whether it be down at Raykat or Dalkut or up north in Mirbat. Plan your trip to spend the last 2 days on the beach. The beaches are cool enough, but the sun does come out in the mornings, so you can dry out your camping gear. It gets pretty soaked. So we're not used to camping in rainy conditions. Pack for absolute wet weather. When the mist comes through and there's a bit of a breeze, the mist just blows in underneath the tent and pretty much everywhere. It's great to escape the heat, but if you're not equipped, you're going to hate it. We absolutely love the muddy conditions. We love the wet weather. We love the cooler weather. And we will be down there probably twice during this Khareef season. So hopefully we'll see you there, Will. I hope I got the question. I got everything right for you over there. If you need anything else, please send us an email at, well, sean@expeditionextreme.com, or comment on the YouTube channel, and we will get back to you on this forum. Thanks for it. Thanks for following us. And remember, follow us on Patreon. You know, the crowdfunding part is what we're relying on for everybody to, well, to bring you more footage and to bring you more information about the territory, and hopefully expand it to more international territory. So click on the Patreon logo right now and support us for as little as $1. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next Tuesday.